Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
Did you hear about the school shooting in California the other day?
Very briefly. I haven't paid too much attention to it.
Some kid on his 16th birthday went into the school, fired off a bunch of, I think it was 45 caliber pistol rounds, and killed 2 people, and then injured a few others, and then ran, and then offed himself. Or tried to, and he survived for like a couple days, and then he died in the hospital.
So here comes more politicians, but mainly Democrats, jumping on the, this is a tragedy we can't let go unused, so let's start talking about banning guns and increasing gun sales through the motherfucking roof is all they really accomplish.
Could be. Here's an interesting story that came out, though, the day after.
Okay.
The largest study on school shooters. Yeah, this is a story from Vice. The U.S. Secret Service dug into almost 50 school shootings from the past 10 years and identified some major red flags that could have prevented the tragedies. The study by the agency's Threat Assessment Unit, released Thursday, found there's no single profile of a school shooter. They vary in age, gender, race, grade level, and social characteristics. But generally speaking, students who commit school shootings expressed an interest in violence, were bullied by their peers, and regularly got in trouble at school.
It's a red flag for one of my kids.
What did you tell me when you came over tonight? Your youngest.
Oh, she's being bullied at school.
Uh-huh. But more important than that, what did she tell you, or what did you get to the bottom of?
She says the kids are... She's being told that she has to sit at a particular table with these other 2 students, both males, and when the teacher's not around or the para's not there, they supposedly say mean things to her, call her fatty and stuff like that.
Dicks.
And then, when the teacher's around, they're hunky-dory. And it only came out a couple weeks ago that this is why she's misbehaving in this class, why she leaves the classroom. Because it's the only class that she's having issues in is because she's forced to sit with these 2 kids. So it's like we sent out an email to the staff, the teachers, and everything, and saying this needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with now, or we're gonna be knocking on the door.
Right.
So they have since moved her from that table, and it looks like behaves a little bit better. I mean, obviously she can't avoid these kids forever. So I've just been trying to just ignore it, stuff like that. I mean, she is very heavy for her age.
She's a big girl, but she's a big, fun, fucking sheepdog of a kid. I love it when you bring her over. She's great.
She's like that kiss me or I'll crush you kind of personality.
Yeah.
She's a very happy child, and she is fun. I mean, but, she eats a lot. My wife keeps saying that, genetics are against her. She's like, look at you, look at me. I said, okay, I've always had a bit of a belly. I mean, you've known me a long time. I've always had a belly. Even when I only weighed 181 pounds.
She got... like your face, but everything else about that girl screams your wife's genetics.
Mm-hmm. And my wife, she's not a small person either, but she's not a big person either. She's just got that voluptuous curve. She's got the big hips and
she's full figured.
So my daughter's gonna probably have a body a lot like that. And if you look at my aunt, who would be my daughter's half aunt, there's a lot of the same characteristics there, except I think my daughter's going to be taller than my aunt, because my aunt's barely 5 feet tall. Mm-hmm. She got my wife's genetics as far as height goes, because she's always been taller than most of the kids in her class.
Well, it says that the researchers in this study, they relied on law enforcement data, like police reports and investigative files. Once they did the studies of who these people were after the fact, looked into... did they do this? I'm guessing they looked at, music and media and video games, but I'd like to think that it went deeper than that, because it's the Secret Service, that they looked into the social status of these people.
Who are they? What clique they were in, perhaps?
Well, I think of school shooters, and I don't think popular kids doing it. Do you?
I haven't really contemplated it, but yeah, I always viewed it as kind of an outcast. It's like the Columbine shooters all those years ago. They were kind of outcasts. So.
Oh yeah, here's a little quote. These are not sudden impulse acts where a student suddenly gets disgruntled. And that is from Lisa Alathari, the head of the Secret Service's National Threat Assessment Center. So the study is the first comprehensive assessment of school shooters since Columbine. It covered 41 shootings between 2008 and 2017. While the researchers were careful to note that there isn't a specific, quote, profile of a potential school shooter, they did find a list of warning signs to look for. Idolizing or looking to emulate other school shootings like Columbine and Sandy Hook. Having a history of bad behavior and disciplinary actions in school like being suspended or expelled. I question that one. When looking at the next one, being bullied by their classmates, especially if the bullying was persistent. And this is where I'm going to be on your side of the gun debate more than I normally would.
Well, my question would be, it's not that important, but where are they getting them?
Right. Did their parents buy them?
A high schooler can't go in and purchase a pistol. There's no freaking way anyone's going to sell them one. Not any licensed dealer. So if they get these guns, they're either taking them from their parents, relatives, whatever, or they're buying them illegally, on the black market, quote unquote.
Yeah, so it's like, don't blame the guns on this one. You're looking at what makes up the psyche of a school shooter. And in this particular study, 41 school shootings, so that's a pretty good pool of data. And the one glaring thing that sticks out is persistent bullying. So, should we maybe let up off the gas on the get rid of the guns bullshit? Because we're never going to win that one. You're not going to get people to give up their guns because they're always going to argue, well, the bad guys won't give up their guns and you can't get rid of all guns.
I mean, honestly, that's exactly what's true. Look it over and...
It's a logical and legitimate argument.
Yeah.
The blame falls on the shooter themselves, but let's go deeper. Why are you sitting here like, we need to watch for red flags with these kids? No. Why don't you fucking pay attention to the people that are making their lives so miserable that they consider this shit in the first fucking place? Like, I look back at myself in elementary school. You know very goddamn well that I have talked about this numerous times. I got in a shit ton of fights in elementary school. A shit ton. I had a hair trigger of a temper. And a lot of it stemmed around being picked on because my sister was mentally retarded. I couldn't control that, and I was fighting for her honor. I was sick of being ripped on for something that I couldn't control, and it wasn't her fucking fault. Other just piddly shit that people would try to push my buttons to just gaslight me into fighting.
Mm-hmm. They see you're an easy target. That was happening with Bubba last year, and I don't think so much this year, but last year and year before, that's a lot of what was happening, especially when he was in 5th grade. Kids were purposely trying to get him to set off.
Yeah. So why, when I would get sent to the office, was the big thing, why are you still doing this? Why do you think that you solve all your problems with your fists? Why don't you fucking listen to what I'm telling you led up to it, you stupid cunts? I'm telling you they're teasing me about my sister. You're not fucking suspending them. You're not making them sit in the goddamn office. You're treating them like they're the fucking victim. If anything, I was defending myself and I escalated it to violence because if somebody repetitively just chips into you with words, are you going to come back at them with words? No. Wars are won by people that escalate to a certain level of power that the other side doesn't expect or has no hope of defending against, i.e. nukes. Japan.
Yep. You saw right into my head there.
Fucking A. We're like, oh, you want to destroy Pearl Harbor? Yeah. An act of aggression on our soil? Are you out of your fucking mind?
We didn't do anything to you except sanctions. That's your fault.
Kiss it goodbye, bitches. We just turned 2 of your fucking cities to glass. And all you're like, oh, well, yeah, maybe we did not think this through. So if I have somebody that's bullying me and I get sick of it, I tell the teacher, they tell them to knock it off. They don't fucking punish them. It was the 80s and the 90s. They were so fucking laissez-faire about how they treated these goddamn harassers and bullies. They didn't do shit. You go and tell them, they treat you like, well, you'd fucking toughen up. Suck my dick, bitch. I shouldn't have to come to a fucking school that my parents fucking paid for me to go to and deal with this shit. It was a smaller class size. So there were fewer people to fucking associate with. So when somebody hammered on you, it really fucking put you in the spotlight. And all the other kids noticed it. And that shit resonated. So other people picked up on it with that idiotic mob mentality.
Yeah, the schools nowadays, or at least in the district that my kids are in, they're trying a lot harder to get to the bottom of who's doing what, what started it. And one of the kids that started something with Turtle ended up getting suspended.
Good.
Because they saw, no, he was doing, and that's why she's moved to a different spot now. They finally saw what we were saying. And I know a lot of people in the school well enough to where I don't want to be an asshole, I mean, I can threaten it, but am I actually going to do it? It's a slim chance, but I was getting to the point where I think the school saw that I'm getting frustrated because I was not so tactful with them last time I was talking to them, especially when I was talking to Bubba's school. His counselor tried calling me, his case manager tried calling me and saying, well, can we set up a meeting or something like that to get together and kind of hash through this? And I said, and what do you expect is going to happen with that? He's like, excuse me? And I went into the whole, the last 6 years and the last 2 years and all the therapy and all the psychologists and medication that he was on and everything. And I said, and not one damn thing has worked. So please tell me why I need to have another meeting.
Yeah, what new fucking trick are you going to pull out of that magic bag, Felix the cat?
Well, apparently this is something that the ex set up. So now, this coming Friday at 3:15, I need to be at the school.
What's that going to solve?
Nothing. It's not going to solve anything.
Could I please beg you to do one thing for me?
What's that?
If at any point it comes up about why his problem started or where his problem started, will you just please go, well, I don't know, it might have happened that night that she tried to burn the house down and kill us so that she could start a new life and start slutting around, and then just look at her and see what her reaction is.
Gotcha, bitch!
You look at all these kids, and I'm not saying that they're all these oh my god victims. Maybe some of these kids have antisocial personality disorders, or they come from a shitty upbringing, and they're just dicks.
See, I'd be willing to say that's probably a majority of the problem right there, is that some people are just dicks. I mean, I knew a couple of kids in school that were just dicks, and one of them I know is in prison serving time for rape.
Instead of always making it the easy, like, well, we got to watch for these mental health issues, maybe you're red flagging somebody that's just having a bad fucking streak. They're going through a divorce, and somebody says something. You fuck with people enough, you're going to turn them into something. A rabid animal, basically. So instead of just looking, oh, so-and-so's depressed and he doesn't get along with people, maybe they're getting shit on. And maybe it's a lot less to do with the fact that AR-15s are for sale in mass and people like buying them. It's more about the actual individual.
It is. It always has been.
And what made them that? So why don't you start looking for the warning signs with the people that fucking pick on these individuals that could potentially become school shooters? And stop fucking waving your dicks around with this gun debate. It's about the human condition. And if you are classically trained with a constant study of negativity, logic would dictate that you would become a negative person. And you're going to have to be a special kind to have an inclination towards wanting to hurt people. Punching someone in the face for being an asshole, sure. Do it all day long if they deserve it. But bringing a gun to school and shooting your classmates? I forget which school shooting it was last year. Some kid went to school and shot his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend. I would never say that's okay, but it makes sense to me. There's emotional heat on that. But going into your school because you get teased by a handful of kids and then firing off bullets randomly into the quad or the cafeteria, or just walking through the halls and popping off random fucking people, what the hell makes you do that?
A whole lot of stress.
Just, you got some kid and maybe they're poor, so they get picked on for being poor. Your daughter is taller and larger in stature than most of the other girls in her grade. I can mistake her for being a grade or two older, honestly, with her height and size. And she gets teased for being fat. That's really fucking shitty, it is, because she's a kid. Let's stop beating the drum on the gun debate and focus on the kids that are preying upon others that are creating these monsters. And really focus on that. Let's stop it before it happens. Let's stop looking for easy answers like, oh, somebody's got a temper. I got a temper. Does that mean I should be red flagged?
Oh.
People fuck with me. I let them know that I'm upset about it. I don't hide my anger because I'm not scared to let you know how I feel. And it's like a mind control method a lot of agencies will use. Oh, they're volatile. They get angry and they tell you what's up. Well, fuck you.
Getting angry and venting is a little bit different than, well, I guess it's like implosive versus explosive anger. You know, explosive is kind of what you do. You just, right here, right now, I'm angry. Whereas implosive is the ones that go and get the gun and come and shoot people.
Exactly.
But what led him to that point? It's, you're not going to, again, you can't take the guns away, like you said. It's not going to work. So you got to deal with the ones that are not necessarily the shooter. I mean, unless it's too late and they did it, but catching those kids that are pushing people to that edge. Because honestly, my kids are good kids, but one of them keeps getting in trouble.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That's at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.